The sailing program nationally is very collaborative amongst the national coaches and the state coaches, and sometimes there's a fair bit of crossover and we're one and the same in some instances. We've had to be quite innovative to get to where we got to at the Olympic Games. We've got a lot of hurdles in our sport that it's not just money related. Sure, if we had all the money as every other sport, we'd probably do a lot better all the time, but we have to make sure that we're in a headspace to do well in our sport for a multitude of different reasons. So one of the things that we had to adopt is how do the coaches and the management really take themselves away from the playing field and put themselves in a headspace to be able to think creatively and think innovatively around issues and problems that arise and occur. So I thought I'll do this presentation, which is a little bit, it's interactive, so you guys are going to have to do some work. Sorry about that, but you're going to have to. If you don't like it, tough. And then if you've got any questions around the sailing program and the Olympic sailing program and the success that it had at the Olympic Games, we'll kind of do that at the end. So the first thing we need to do though is, if you're sitting at tables that you know people and you're in the same sport, get up and move. You've got 5 seconds. Go. Go. Move. If you've got, I don't want you in the same sports. You've got to move around. This is part of the process for tonight. Without creativity and innovation, there are no ideas. Without ideas, the AST, which is the Australian sailing team, and people within it will stagnate and neither will reach any sort of fulfilment or indeed results. At the Australian sailing team, we've got a really simple KPI. Gold medals. That's it. Silver medals are really nice, but it's not really the KPI. We're really open and honest about that. We don't really care about anything else in the middle. World Championships is great for a little bit of funding along the way, and that's a nice guide for us, but really we have to deliver on one thing, and that's gold medals. So we really need to be really hard on this, and along the way comes the calls that need to be made. Ideas alone aren't enough. What is needed is useful, actionable ideas that lead to innovation. Innovation is an act. In other words, it's a conscious choice. You've got to if you're going to innovate, you've got to be in the mind space to even go there and start thinking bigger. At its heart, innovating requires taking on the status quo. What we've learned in the sailing world, we've taken a lot of, is that mic working? Anyone? Yeah, good. What we've learned in the sailing world is we've learned a lot from other sports. To get where we got to, we had to go and steal as much as we could from other sports, including the ones that aren't so good and the ones that are very good. So we, at the very start of our quad, we really had to challenge a lot of things in our sport. So for that was taking on that status quo. You've really got to open your mind up to that. You've got to envisage a new and better way. Innovation is about progress and change. If it doesn't advance the human condition, it's not innovation. Must unlock, unleash and generate new value. It's a question. Invention or innovation? So we've got the first Speedo suit ever invented on that side. And then this side here we've got the speed suits. So we can start to see a bit of a difference on invention versus innovation. Same again. So, this is where some of the work comes in. At the end of this, what we're trying to get to is giving you guys the same tools that we use, and there's a process you've got to go through to start thinking about innovation. I'm not going to go and solve your world problems, that's for sure. You've got to go away and do that, but at least I can start the process with you. The key thing really, to start it, you've got to actually figure out what is your definition of innovation. So, it has to start like this. Innovation is the act of blah, 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 blah. We all understand what we've got to do. We've got a couple of minutes to do this. So have a think about it, or talk about it in your group. Turn to the person next to you and have a go. You've got 3 minutes. Okay. Who wants to share their definition of innovation? I'm just going to pick the man in the Ferrari t-shirt because I like Ferraris.
Second.
I just picked you.
Oh, thank you.
You're writing a business plan right now as you speak.
Innovation is the act of challenge, established ideas to develop temporary situations. How I said learning in a new way, implementing a different set of procedures to achieve a better outcome, and creating fun with 5 groups.
Good. Anyone else? Who wants to go? Yeah. And loud, apparently.
Innovation is the act of progression, improving the current model, programs or processes, finding unique avenues to get an edge, keeping ahead of the bunch, learning from what has been done to come up with improved techniques for processes.
Cool. Has anyone got one with the word result in it? Sort of? Yes or no? Simple answer. Question. Perfect.
Innovation is the art of changing the ways people do things that result in a positive outcome.
Great. We might ask you to do this again at the end. The reason why I say results, in the sailing world, KPI, gold medal. Simple. Hard, but simple. So when you in our sport, what we needed to do is we needed to say, right, we need to be up here, and there's nothing else that's going to stand in our way. So we need to think everything is relating back to, is it a gold medal idea or not? Not, get rid of it. Yes, let's keep it. Really, just cut the shit out, basically. Sorry, Graham. So, the process you've now got to go through. We've started to talk a little bit about the definition, what innovation may be and what it means to you. There's now 5 blocks of part of the process you've got to go through to keep going. So you've got to have a belief. When creativity is regarded as a magic gift, there is nothing that can be done about it. But everyone can develop some skill in lateral thinking, and those who develop most skill will be more creative. Keyword here for me is lateral. You've got to put yourself in a position where you can think way outside any square that's even getting close. You've got to think big, you've got to think wide. And if you don't think that, in our world, you're not going to get a result. Behaviours. So we're all coaches here. We're all pretty bad at thinking innovatively in our daily environment? True or false? Because we're all in this type of thinking. Yeah? In our daily work environment. On the field, on the water, on the wherever you're on or under or in or. So we can't actually do this very well in the day or whenever your time is. So state means not where we live, but where our head's at, where your mind is, where your heart is. So tools and techniques are important, but people can create innovation, not processes. Processes is what we do on the field every day. Run over there, kick the ball over there, pull that rope in, pull the oar that fast. It's not just what you do, but it's how you do it. How are you at any given moment in the state you're in? So it's got a lot of emotion attached to it and your emotional awareness. I'm not sure, well, how much of you guys talk to your athletes about your emotional state? Often? Lots? I'm assuming a fair bit, yeah? In our world, with sailing, a lot of people think that we've got an easy job in our sport. Sit on the side of the boat and pull a rope in and away you go. So we've got a consideration in our sport, apart from the basics, which is competitors and fitness and technical ability and equipment, we've also got something that a lot of people can't see, i.e. wind. Yeah, but in our world, we have the skills, we know what the wind's going to do 90% in advance. So we have to make sure we can think. Anyone heard of the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull? There's a couple of nods. I'd say read it. Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It would take you about 10 minutes to read, but it's a bloody good book about emotional power and emotional mindset and what your head and mind and body is the last bit, but your head and mind can do. If you don't consciously choose your state, your subconscious will choose it for you. True? How many people get overrun by their subconscious? I do it quite a bit, which is fine when the time's right, let it run wild. But when you want to be in a process like this, you need to physically and mentally choose where your mind's got to go before you start the process. So obviously this is about having some creative juices flowing. If you're stuck, move. Literally move the building. Don't move that building, but move out of the building, go somewhere else. Try something different. Be playful and encourage self-expression. In my past life, I used to live in the corporate world and I was a marketing guy. To be playful and encourage self-expression was about going and having a few wines with the ad agency. Wines, beers, which led into more wines and beers, and suddenly came up with great advertising campaigns. I'm not saying you guys do that, and we don't do that as coaches as well, but there's ways that some people do it, and there's ways that some industries do it, but we have, as sports people, our skill is putting our minds where we want it to go before it goes there, or it doesn't go there by itself. Who's got a space where they're really creative? That you know that's your place to go to where you want to be creative? What's yours?
Out on the bike.
Out on the bike. Anyone else? That wasn't the question. Where's the space? Where are you? You've got your head on you all the time. Yep. You creative right now? Can be. It's got a good skill, this guy. I would say if you haven't got a space that you're really creative, and it can't be at 2 in the morning when you can't go to sleep. A lot of people think that's creativity. It's not. Find a space. Play with it. Try and figure a space out. The bike is the same place for me as well, except I've learned that I need to have more people around me being creative, so I'm not a very good bike rider, so that doesn't really happen. But find your space. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be at the pub. It might be in the rain on the middle of the paddock by yourself. It doesn't really matter where it is, but go and find it. I think that's self-explanatory. We kind of talked a little bit about that. Okay. We've had a go at defining innovation. Now I want you to do it in a group, taking a bit longer, but you've got to have the key words are status quo, challenge, achieve results. So the idea behind this is take 10 minutes, discuss it in your group, at your table, write it down, and then each table needs to present back. Everyone understand? Go. Who wants to share their first one? I'm going to look at you. Or your table.
On our table? I've got the... It's to challenge the status quo through new and novel methods in order to achieve concise and desired results.
Cool. There's no right or wrong here. I'm just asking you what it is.
Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted me to speak.
That's right.
Innovation is finding the most effective way to challenge the status quo to achieve the best possible result.
I reckon they're going to all be reasonably similar by the sounds of it.
Innovation is the act of creative, flexible and adaptive thinking, resulting in ongoing creative new ideas which will challenge the status quo and produce the desired result. The first one better.
Lots of words.
Yeah. That's the same thing up the top.
Yep.
Yeah, your first line.
Words in there.
Normal accepted procedure at any given time. Challenge is to take ideas, adapt and change them. The goal of achieving quantifiable benefits. We must do this in order to achieve better results.
Good. Who wants to have a go?
Challenge the now to achieve the ultimate result. Substitute status quo for now.
Cool. Nice and short.
Innovation is challenging the status quo to achieve better results.
Nice. Do we like the word better?
Great. Outstanding.
Stuff that. You want the best in the world.
Progressively challenge the status quo and be strong by taking a solution that challenges tradition to achieve results. It also looks to challenge athletes to adapt to a new model or buy into it to achieve those results.
Nice. Your point about the athlete, the customer, is super important. Further down the line, we're talking about a bit of buy-in. We might have this great idea to jump off this ledge this way. Why don't you now try it, Mr. Athlete or Mrs. Athlete? They got to buy into it. If they don't buy into it, you're stuffed. So it's a really good point. So when you go away in your own organisations or groups or whatever, you've got to have a think about this. How does your definition you've got here, does it work for you? If it doesn't, fine, change it. And talk about it within your own business or sporting group. So this one here is You've now got to find a problem. Okay. It can't be money related. We've all got money issues. That's not, okay? Whatever the problem you decide. So, again, in your groups, maybe just pick 3 people on each table and talk about a current issue that you have within your program. And then later on, you need to choose one of those issues that's going to be the issue that the table works on. Make sense? Got a couple of minutes. Okay, let's park that for a little while. Let's park those ideas or issues that you may have. There's a rugby idea over there that's really big. Okay. 4 core innovation development principles. Okay, now's where we get into the meat of what we need to learn and how we can put our brain into the right place. Okay. I'm just going to come over here and I listened into an idea about rugby, which is close to my heart. And it reads, rugby, 48 athletes in Japan, 30 company workers in 18 are professional. 4 or 5 are coming off Super 15 series, and they will forego their international commitments to make cash in Japan. We need to define what the issue is. One of the good questions we got asked is what's actually the issue, yeah? You're still working it through your mind. So when you come up with the issue that you're trying to change or innovate, you've got to make sure that you define that is the real issue. And you can't work on 2 issues at the same time. It's 1 issue only at a time. So you've got to really focus. This is why you've got to put your creative thinking and your brain into the right space. It's whatever time it is, 7:43, shit, I'm going late. If it's 7:43, you've all had long days, is this the time to be doing this? Probably not. Sweet, I'm going to go. No. You've got to really focus hard on this. This is kind of like you telling your athletes that you've just worked them to the bone and I need another set out of you. So that I'm going to ask you guys. You need applied creativity to create fresh ideas. They're not just going to spring in your head. You've got to stress test those ideas to develop and evolve them, sorry. And then you've got to showcase, which is selling. If I had 1 hour to save the world, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and 5 minutes finding the solution. Some guy you might know. Innovation's about solving problems. Pretty sure guys have got that. The problem has to be the focal point the whole way through this process. Always come back to the problem. Are we getting off track? Does it fix the problem? No, ditch that idea. Does it fix that problem? Might it fix that problem? Come back to it. It makes sense to devote as much attention and dedication to the problem definition as possible. So the rugby one, we've got 48 athletes in a program and they're all over the shop. See what I mean? Got to really work on the problem. What usually happens is as soon as that we have a problem to work on, we're so eager to get solutions. Why? Because we're time poor, yeah? Oh, let's do this quick, let's find a solution, go from there. And we neglect spending time on refining it. So don't jump too fast. Don't go, yeah, we've got an idea, that's it, we're off. This is it, this is going to change the world for us. Most of us forget what supposedly Einstein might have been alluding to, is that the quality of the solutions we come up with will be in direct proportion to the quality of the description of the problem we're trying to solve. So again, the definition has to be so right, if you even get close to it being wrong, you're going to stuff it up. So, 5 minutes. Let's do it 2, we're running out of time. Choose one problem that you've got and really define that problem. And it should be no more than a sentence long. Yep. The problem is we haven't got enough rugby balls. The problem is we... Go, 2 minutes. Don't fix the problem here. Just find what the problem, don't fix it. Step 1, applied creativity. To innovate, we need fresh ideas and novel ideas. This requires creativity. The human brain, however, is not conducive to creative thinking. The brain is a massive self-organising storage device. It's not a creative device. It's a storage unit, filing cabinet, C drive, whatever you kind of want to call it. Yeah. The brain is linear, it's not lateral. Have we used the word lateral here before tonight? Yes. Lateral is about thinking outside the box. Key word. To be creative, you have to trick or stimulate the brain. We're now 7:53, it's getting me later and we don't want to be here more. A term coined lateral thinking by Edward de Bono. Lateral thinking is a thinking skill we can all learn. We have to learn this. If we want to be innovative in our sport, we have to learn this lateral thinking. You've got to put your brain there. Yeah? Okay. On your table, you've got 30 seconds. This is a banana. You've got to come up with the best running shoe you can think of using the properties of this banana. Everyone understand? The properties of this banana. Made up of skin and inside some seeds, some whatever else bananas are made up of. 30 seconds. Go. The best running shoe you can think of. Go. Suddenly the brain's in gear now, yeah? We've gone into that lateral thinking mode. I've asked you to put a shoe at Nike and make it the best selling shoe they've ever bloody had. Someone said they nailed it over here and chuck you on the spot.
No worries. Well, we're going to turn it inside out so that we've got the peel, the inside of the peel for our grip. Then we're going to use the banana flesh for the cushioning underneath there, and the stringy bits are going to be the shoelace.
Great. Cool. Again, no right or wrong. There's no laces on this. When I did mine, I didn't have any shoelaces. I just peeled it on and somehow stuck on the top and away we went. So there's no right or wrong, just creative. Someone said over there, you can't write stuff down when you're being creative. Nearly true. Yeah. But if I ask you in 10 minutes later, what was that banana thing about? You might have lost it.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go.
Johnny? One of the things about this technique of lateral thinking is actually to take your brain into a place that it naturally doesn't go to. So in normal linear thinking, we would all say it's ridiculous to use a banana to make a running shoe. And that might be completely true. But the actual concept is around teaching yourself how to lateral think. So lateral thinking requires you to actually make a leap from what is a traditional way of thinking by using some sort of outside stimulus to take you into a different place. So the way, I suppose, from a marketing and product development sense, is that this is the sort of tool that people use to come up with new products in the marketplace. And if you look up De Bono's stuff on the web, there's actually a sheet of 50 keywords, and the way you can stimulate some of this lateral thinking is that the sheet has 50 words on it, they're numbered, and you might go into the audience and just say, gentleman in the blue shirt just here in the middle, give me a number between 0 and 50. They give you a number, you look on the sheet and you say, the number is, the word is, and it'll generally be a noun, spice, or chocolate, or banana. And then that is the word that then stimulates the lateral thinking process. So if you're interested in this, have a look for that and then try it a few times. You'll be amazed at what you can think of once you actually start moving beyond what's our traditional pathway of thinking.
Perfect. You stole my thunder. I'm going home. That's exactly right. It's all about taking that step somewhere else, which a lot of people don't like, taking steps somewhere they've never been before. So you've got to be open to taking that step. Yeah. We've got an exercise at the end of this we're not going to do, but I'm going to make sure somehow that Simon can follow this up and we try and get some activity outside of this somehow. So, you know, without creativity, you'll come up with the same old ideas. You talked about the status quo when you're doing that around, if the status quo is the norm, where's the status quo on your level? In the sailing level, we like to think it's the gold medal is the status quo. Yeah? And over here said if you achieve the status quo this year and you try and say, well, let's just do the status quo again, you're not going to achieve it in the next 4 years, yeah? At Olympics cycle, we always think in 2008, we must be sailing like we need to sail in 2010 to win the gold medal in 2008, or someone's going to beat us. So in 2016, we've got to be sailing and innovating ideas, concepts, like it's 2018. So when we get to 2016, we're on the money. This here is quite an important one, stimulating experiences. Not sex, some people think it is, but go and do new things. You know, as a team, a group, yourself, make sure you do new things because, as Grant said, it's about trying something new with your mind. When I was going through this process as a scholarship coach at the AIS, it was about doing something completely different that I hadn't done. I got no idea about architecture, and I said I'll go and learn about architecture. Still know nothing about it, but at least I had a try. But just test your brain, try new things. It's not going to be too time taxing on you. The key thing for coaches is we're pretty time poor really, so you know, broaden your range. Tools or exercises to stimulate you to think differently. Ideas can be captured by an idea statement, a simple statement for capturing ideas, an idea blueprint, a template, you know, so you've got to work on this sort of stuff. Stress testing. Innovation is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. No difference to what we do on the sporting field, yeah? So in this instance, you've got to treat yourself just about like an athlete at this and learn how to do this. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Ideas aren't created fully formed by lone inventors. They need to be evolved, developed and tested with people from different backgrounds, hence why we're on different tables, to test whether they are useful and actionable. Yeah? Who's ever had a great idea about your particular sport by your grandmother? Just by she's watching and say, why don't you do this? Or granddad, or someone completely outside of the realm of your sport. And a good idea for coaches is to invite people in your life that know what you do but don't know about it, and invite them to a training session. Especially when it's pissing down with rain, you'll find out what type of good mate they are. But invite them along and just say, you need to critique me and find something new for us to do. So at the end of the session, figure out if there's something new. 99% of the time, nothing will happen. It's going to be the one person that rocks up and just has a gem and you just go, shit, that's a bloody good idea. We've been doing this for donkeys and you've just said something simple. It's like the tacos ad, you know? The girl, the soft shell, the hard shell type thing. So, we've got a problem, We've got a whole bunch of ideas to work around. This is actually the really hard bit. You've got to pick the good ones. That's where stress testing in the corporate world, we've got market intelligence and things like that. So you've really got to ask yourself, does it really answer the question that we identified in the outset? Yeah? Showcasing is selling. In this normal presentation, I'd make you do this. I'd make you work on whatever problem you had, and I'd give you 20 minutes and you have to come back and you've got to sell it to the world. Because if you're the coach coming up with a new idea, you've got to sell it to your athletes and they poo-poo it. You've just wasted 4 days of creative thinking. So you've got to learn how to sell it too. It's not the, guys, I've got a great idea and this is what we're going to do. You go, okay with it? There's an idea here, guys. I need your buy-in. Let's talk about this idea. I think it's really going to affect change in our program. It's going to achieve the results that we need, and the result we need is the gold medal. That's right. Make it a positive, really powerful sell. Do you guys know the name Bill Sweetenham? Where's the swimmers here? Where are the swimmers? Bill Sweetenham is one of Australia's best swimming coaches. We had to sell an idea to Bill Sweetenham, and I was shitting myself at the time because he's one of my heroes. And you fake it till you make it. You just got to do it and do it really well. And we were selling teamwork, and we pulled up YouTube pictures of the undrugified cycling team called US Postal and did a whole spiel about that, and he just critiqued the crap out of it and hated it. And we thought it was the best thing since sliced cheese. But you've got to be ready for, if you showcase it, you've got to be ready for, actually, they thought it wasn't very good. So connect with hearts and minds of key audiences. Yeah? Just because you think it's a good idea, it doesn't mean little Johnny thinks it's a great idea and he's got no idea what you're talking about. Rework, creating the story, impactful delivery. That was the exercise I was going to do. So that's the presentation. It's a different way, it's just learning, as Grant said, it's a different way of thinking about how you take on problems. We've all got problems in sport. Sport's sport, really, at the end of the day. We've all got similar problems for whatever means, but you've just got to really learn how to do it. You can't hope for a magic. If we just work hard, that's going to do the job. Those days, from where I sit, those days don't work anymore because everyone is working hard, and it's not even about working harder than the other guy. It's about doing things in your campaign and your program smarter than. The guys at AFL level are always, any sport, we're all the same. We're all doing things smarter. Has anyone got any questions on the sailing program at the Olympic level and our issues that we didn't have? Yep.
So what was so wrong with sailing that made you go down this path?
We weren't winning gold medals. No, we were catching up and we were just doing the same as other nations. We were just going down let's work hard track. We had a lot of smart sailors, a lot of great names, a lot of history obviously, but it all counts for nothing at Olympic level, at least anyway. America's Cup, yeehaw, that was 1983. Yeah, who cares about that now? And I know John Bertrand, who won that really well, and he doesn't mind us saying that because we've got to move on. So it was more about if we don't do something, we're going to get lost to the Olympic sport, and we're not going to get funding, we're not going to have jobs, sailors, the sport will die.
You've got one boat and one sailor, two sailors. How many other people got you the gold medal?
If you've got one boat, one sailor, how many other?
One boat, two sailors, for example.
Yep.
Because you won gold in a couple of events where there was two sailors.
Yep.
How many other people
were in the team? If you've got one boat and you've got two sailors in that boat, how many other people were part of that wider team? on average 40. Not all paid, but in our staff we have probably 40 people, 40 full-time staff, coaches, management, things like that, all the way down to, well, not down, but all the way through to physios and whatnot. So at the Olympic Games we had 30 people at the Olympic Games, including athletes. We had 15 athletes and 15 staff.
I suppose, where did all this originate from?
Yep.
Which learning principles? So I see a lot of this I'm a teacher. I see a lot of this from my high school stuff that I teach. I teach VCAL, and all this is very similar to how we implement our teaching processes.
Yep. So it's not rocket science where it's come from. It's that corporate world. It's really, a lot of sports have been encroached by corporate trainers. This is where this came from. They challenged, we knew we had an issue, we weren't going to get any better. We went out to market and said, right, we need someone to teach us how to think of it differently. So it's been around for bloody years. It's not new, it's just that we need to learn to put it in the sport that we do and really define it. So.
Can I ask what innovation or innovations did you personally introduce to the Australian sailing team that led to gold medals?
Good question. So, what did I do? We have logistical issues in our sport. We've all got logistical issues in our sport. And I'm going to talk to you about one thing that we're thinking about the next games, as opposed to one that's just been. Rio for us is a whole other continent, which generally means we've got to put a whole lot of other boats in that continent and leave them there for 3 months of the year. A whole lot of another boats means $3 million, which is a lot out of our budget, and we can't afford it. So the thinking is, well, how do we actually do that? So one of the thoughts, I was talking to the guys on the way down the car, is can we, and Brazil is a reasonably poor sporting nation in the sailing world, but they've got some amazing sailors that have come out of that country. One of the thoughts that we're thinking about, and it came from me, was why don't we start a sailing program in Brazil? We'll go buy the boats that we need, and then we'll get their government to buy them back of us when we're finished, albeit probably just quietly used and abused. But $3 million now, and we know we might get half of that back after we've been and gone and done the job, might be an idea. If it works, I don't know. But it's an idea that we can at least work on,
What other sport influenced you guys, or what was a major sport that might have had some influence in your program? Continue to use that same sport ongoing, or in other sports continuing?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of sports at the start, swimming, not so much anymore. Triathlon was a big one for us, and then the professional codes as well were major for us. The ones that had resources and had smart people that were paid to be smart all of the time. So, union AFL, and then overseas as well. We did and you hear it a lot before, but the American market's huge on smart people with sport. We also infiltrated the British sporting code as well. GBR are obviously really strong in most sports through the lottery funding, and they were particularly strong. They kicked their ass in China, to be honest. So we stole a lot of ideas off them. Yeah. Last one, I reckon.
What was your major innovation between 2008 campaign and 2012?
Yeah, similar to the question down here. I think traditionally sailing, we don't do any race analysis, any numbers race analysis. The discussion normally goes is, how did that feel? Because it's a feeling type sport. Why did you do this over here with that competitor over there at that time of the racetrack? Was the boat going fast? Because at a coaching perspective, similar to other sports where up to 3 miles away from the athlete. And binoculars was, shit, that boat looks like it's going slow. I'll have to ask the sailor that when he comes back in, or when she comes back in to the coach boat. But that was 45 minutes ago, and the sailor's like, oh, when are you talking about? So the innovation that we had was a tool called the Cosworth, which is essentially taken off the Formula 1 program, where we were able to put sensors all over boats in training mode, and then we could learn when a boat is truly fast and truly slow through turns and manoeuvres and things like that as well. Cost a bomb, but we needed to do it. Did it work? Yep, absolutely was part of the process. But I could also ask the sailor, did it feel fast, did it feel slow? And go to the computer and ask Mr. Computer, did it feel fast, did it look fast, or did it look slow? The sailor would say the same thing. Yep. But now we've got a bank and a database full of mandatories on how to make a boat go fast. So when little Johnny, who's new into the system, comes in and just goes, cool, that's how it's done. Right, I think I need to stop. Thank you very much. I hope you got something out of it, and talk to me afterwards.